All right, it's time to clear out the roadblock called Hydra. Hello, everyone. Bront, CatHerder here. We are having some fun talking Raid Shadow Legends, and I am not alone. I have my friend Roadblock over here. He is back again. We are here to talk. We just finished talking for way too long on his channel. It was fun, mostly giving him some of the free-to-play tips and talking about some of the secrets that I've been sharing on my channel here, so we get a chance to share them with his viewers. Go check that out. If you have any questions, he did a good job of asking me specific questions and letting me kind of rant as well. So that was kind of cool. But how are you doing? How is your free to play going?
I'm doing better. I have been a little sick the last couple of days, which has impacted my free to play. So I've fallen behind a little. I'm still in the top 10, which I'm happy with. And we did get a really big pull since the last time I was on your channel, and we got Calvalax. So
Yeah.
I'm very excited about getting to use him. He's almost done being built. A little slower than I would have liked because I got sick, but things are going good.
Yeah. And, when I tell people to get good, well, that's part of what I'm talking about. Be healthy, just,
Mhm.
we're, it is fun. We are going to be talking a little bit about Hydra. Obviously, I've got a clan boss run going here, so we can certainly see if I can actually two key Nightmare. So if I can get to about 22 million, that'll be a two key as far as I'm concerned. So that'll be absolutely amazing. But Hydra is definitely going to be a roadblock for these. No pun, well, pun intended. I actually enjoy my puns. I'm not gonna lie there. That was very intended. But it is going to be a roadblock for a lot of these accounts. Hydra, first of all, Hydra opens way too early. I think the fact that I think it was the third time I could run a Hydra key before I could actually get any chest at all with all three teams. It just was absolutely brutal. Now, to be fair, being me power leveling through stuff, maybe I got to Hydra a little earlier than a lot of other folks might who might have slightly more robust accounts, but I still think it's way too early for Hydra to open up. I think right now is kind of where it should have, probably around level 50, maybe level 55 even. It's definitely the hardest entry level for the different clan bosses. But what are your concerns? Kind of what's your plan of attack for Hydra from basically starting out from a new account?
So I on the first week that we unlocked Hydra, I almost did it. And I grinded and grinded. I must have done maybe 50, 60 runs. I mean, I was trying. All I wanted to get was that 1.6. I managed to get 1.4 as my best key. Then the second week, the rotation changed, and my whole strategy was kind of ruined. But I think it's super important when it is available, do it because the resources there um are quite good. I mean, you're talking clan gold, right? You're talking the gear is good. Just let's say it's a middle piece, like something that's not super great, but it's stone skin. That extra percent HP that you can get on that stone skin piece is huge, right?
Mm-hmm.
A big boost to an early game that can be great for your ally protector, your Ugo, your Tagore in this case, whatever it may be. So I tried really hard to get that first chest, and I did get a chest on this last rotation, and I kind of had to cheese it a little bit to get it done, but I got it done.
Yeah, I couldn't get a key, even with my account, to one key normal on the lowest chest. So I was able to get close enough. So I think I got to like 1.4 million and then managed to do another 200,000 with the rest of the teams combined, which was, obviously kind of brutal. But it is definitely difficult because there's so many things you got to worry about with it. I mean, right now in this rotation, we actually have to deal with the cleansing head, which
Mhm.
means you either need provoke or you need to understand that you are going to have to go your first couple of turns without debuffing Hydra, because if you debuff Hydra, they're going to get cleansed and then you're going to be out of luck. The good news is we don't have the poison cloud as well. That's
Mhm.
actually hidden in the background. So you don't have the poisons, which is certainly one of the easy killers for people that cannot cleanse their team particularly well. And you're not going to have the poison cloud to worry about block debuffs. Now, block debuffs is at least, or block buffs, I should say. Block buffs is at least good because you've got Ugo. A lot of people do have the Monkey King as well. So for the content creators, the poison head was not going to be the worst case scenario. The problem is the combination of the cleanser plus the poison cloud really is a bit of a killer.
Yeah, that first rotation, exactly what you're talking about. Even with a provoker in um Taragi, the one turn didn't buy me enough time to build my damage up.
Mm.
So, they would cleanse just a turn late, and even then, books were not flowing. And so it wasn't 100% chance. So I would rerun it and try to land that provoke. So yeah, if you don't have a way to block that poison cloud, it can be really difficult. So I'm glad we don't have to deal with it this rotation. But for my strategy, I kind of actually miss not having the head of suffering.
Hmm. That's not the one I would expect people to want to miss.
So the reason I say that, I don't have a really big burner. I don't have a geomancer, of course. So my approach, all of my damage is actually coming from brimstone. That's where everything is coming from for me. So my original strategy on the previous rotation where we had the head of suffering was to make sure I landed brimstone on the head of suffering because I would get 2 procs off that head. Um and so my recent strategy was with the in fact, almost none of the heads that we have to start with are good brimstone target. Um, be, because
That's true. Yeah, because you've got bad affinity for at least for Alice for these two heads. You don't want to be hitting the fear head anyway if you can avoid it. You don't want to be
correct,
hitting head of wrath if you can avoid it. And you don't have hex because none of us have hex really at the moment. So you're going to struggle to hit mischief, which leaves you with the cleansing head. And the cleansing head, if they cleanse off well, of course they can't cleanse Alice's off actually. So if you
correct.
cannot provoke or you're willing to let the first hit be a cleanse, you can hit that head, get brimstone proc, and hope. The other hope, I guess, is to AoE with Alice and just kind of hope brimstone lands on one of the other 3 heads, and just if it doesn't, restart.
Well, even if it lands on one of the other heads, so the head that steals buffs, I always forget the name of it.
Yeah, mischief. He,
Mischief. Yeah, they
he
had a mischief. That's their A1 actually is the one. So even if you have brimstone on the head of mischief via an AoE, it doesn't proc.
he
And
doesn't
that's the
proc
biggest.
because he needs to do the buff spread, which is a 2, and that's so he needs to steal buffs first and then spread them afterwards. So yeah.
Exactly. So the strategy that I actually went with was to completely not bring my Taragi, and it worked. I got 1.7 on one key. So, it's crazy, but it works. So you got to give some credit there, right?
Hmm.
But I said, okay, well, I'm not going to bring Taragi because the provoke isn't helping, hurting me. And I target the head of decay. I think it's the head of decay, but the provoke head. I actually target that one with Alice right away and try to get the brimstone proc when they do their cleanse. So and you actually have one thing to be careful of too. You have to make sure that you do bring debuffs so that he will cleanse.
Hmm.
um and to make sure that that goes off because sometimes he won't or he'll cleanse, but he might do the single target cleanse
Yep.
if depending on how. Yeah, it's I've learned a lot about Hydra trying to manipulate this brimstone proc and
Yeah,
get it to work for
I
me.
think you need at least 5 debuffs out on everyone combined before he decides to. It may be more than 5. It might be 6, but it's at least you need to average more than one per head before he does the AOE cleanse, and they have to be spread out to some extent as well. Because if you have 4 debuffs on one head and not a lot of the others, he'll do the single target cleanse. He's actually fairly
Hmm.
smart from that end.
Yes. Now,
And yeah,
to be
that
fair,
go ahead.
I either one of those works because it still triggers brimstone, but you kind of want to finagle it in a way that you can actually try to keep some of your buffs up, So there's a lot of that went into me trying to figure that out, but I was happy to be able to pull that off, and I'm sure that this rotation you're probably gonna have a much easier time with Geo and such. Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the big problem that Geo's going to have, which is the problem I still had the last rotation where I barely got it. I had Geo at the time. I think he was even 6 stars. The problem is Geo has an AoE A1, So he fears himself constantly if the fear head is out,
Yeah.
and I have no counter for the fear head right now. And then on top of that, for a while it wasn't booked. It's finally booked down to a 3-turn cooldown. It used to be a 5-turn cooldown, which absolutely was brutal for that. So, he is usable. And to be fair, I've got a second Geomancer, so I will definitely throw him in my second team and just kind of hope I can get the burn up and get a single proc on it to get a few hundred damage. And that's actually how I was able to get the extra damage. I got him fast enough to land the burn, and he did like 150k, and that was enough to get me the extra key, and I was good to go. But yeah, I'm worried about the provoke. That's where I've got what's his name, Jizzo. Jizzo's not bad for the provoke either, particularly because he places the provoke, I think, before he attacks. I'm not 100% sure on that. Let's go find Jizzo. But he's got a reliable, it's not, I think it's 100% even unbooked, which is kind of nice. So it is tax one enemy,
80%.
has a chance of placing. So it's 80%. So it's not 100%, but it's not too bad. Reliable enough that you don't have to book this, which is good because he's not really worth booking. He's just decent for the provoke. If you want to make sure things get stolen, you can certainly do this, but counterattack getting stolen is bad. Don't do that. Don't get counterattack stolen. It's really bad. Obviously you've got a Taragi, so Taragi is certainly a good option for the fears as well. Poisons are actually one of the interesting options for Hydra. I mean, you've got Calvalax now, so that's certainly going to be kind of fun. Not every head can be poisoned.
Yeah.
But the fear head can be poisoned. The cleansing head can be poisoned, and actually so can suffering. In fact, poisons on suffering are one of the best ways to deal with suffering because suffering has a ton of max HP. So while they supposedly do reduced damage, the reduced damage that poisons do to all of the Hydra heads are still a ton of actual damage. So Kale is actually going to be very viable for these right now. I think Calvalax is going to be great. Frozen Banshee could possibly do some additional damage if I can get more than one turn. Speed champions are going to be pretty clutch too, because it's going to certainly make your gear easier if you can run a high Katoon, for example, and increase your speed. Or like I've got Haruspex there, can certainly do some speed increase and increase turn meter speed stuff. Obviously, Tagore, very good champion overall. He's going to be in whatever your best team is going to be. And it really comes down to burners being super good early because any passive damage you can do is good. And burns do, 20k per head that takes damage from the burn, right? So it's actually pretty chunky.
Yeah, I'm pretty starved for burns. I think my best burner is Chani right now.
Yeah, I've got a Selena Nightcloak. I think
Oh,
you
I
had
did
one
have
too.
her too. Yeah.
It's 3 random heads, so the problem is you might get 3 different burns, you might get 1 burn, and I don't think it's even 100%. We go in here.
It's each hit is a 50%, books up to
75.
75.
But
Yeah.
she does get increased attack on herself first, which makes her easier to build, which is kind of nice. Or increase accuracy, not
Increase
attack.
accuracy. Yeah.
And then she can actually extend the duration of buffs with, I think, the A1. Is it A1 or the A2? It's
The A2
that does
extends them. Yeah, and the
Yeah.
A1 is a heal.
So she actually can work with a Geomancer too to extend the burns if you wanted to pair her with Geomancer, and then when Geomancer's burns fall off, she puts her own up. And to be fair, Geomancer's burns can last for 3 turns, possibly 4. And since these are only 2 turns, then she's not going to overwrite Geo's burn at the 3-turn mark either, so you can get extra burns up as well. So she's an interesting option for a rare. Obviously, I don't have her built with a lot going on her right now. But, especially for kind of what I see is going to be the case is we're going to struggle to 1 key Nightmare for a long time, but we might be able to get the top chest once we can kind of build 3 teams that can do something. And obviously your best team is probably going to do your best damage, but if you can do 500,000 to 1 million with your second team and another 500,000 to 1 million with your third team, that takes the requirements down to do the chest down to, well, I mean, doing those 2 is almost the top of the novice chest to this novice chest here. And this actually sucks. I didn't realize this. The first 2 are both novice chests, so the fact that you have to get all the way up to here before you get a chest better than a novice chest is kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't necessarily like that, but I think we're gonna find, especially as we start to develop our accounts more, we pull more champions, that we're gonna get better at Hydra. But I think it's essential. I think a lot of people are sleeping a little early on Hydra, and those rewards are just so good. I mean, obviously not Mithrala, but that clan gold goes a long way, like I said earlier, and I I really wanted to be one of the first ones to pull out a one key on it, even
Mhm.
if it was just the 1.67 million minimum. But um yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's some nutso teams here too. Like I see Fluffy here has a Venus already. This is absolutely
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people using Sabbatha makes sense. Morag is definitely going to be helpful because that ally attack can be very good. And okay, not everyone's run this recently either because we just reset. This is Friday. We're filming this on, and a lot of people are going to avoid running this. In fact, I'll make sure I avoid running this as long as possible because my champions are slowly but surely growing and my gear is getting better, and I want to
Yeah.
be able to attack this with the best I possibly can. So I'm going to avoid doing Hydra as long as possible until I've got, either I'm forced to do it because it says do a key, or it's close to enough where it's going to be reset the next day and I got to do it.
Yeah, you can even scroll down a little bit and see, like, I got the quest to do a key, and you can see exactly what my that's how I felt about that key. Here you go.
Yep.
Here's my key.
Yeah, Snackbox just threw this in there. These are just throwaway keys here as well. So,
Yep.
but
I
yeah,
was nervous.
that is really kind of where Hydra Clash is, and Hydra Clash is another one I think that they've really, and I said this in some of my videos early on about Hydra Clash, and I think that Polarium has missed the mark with this and with Chimera Clash as well. The fact
Yeah.
that I need to get 35 million before I can get any one of these chests, and I need to get 70 million to get any of these personal chests. I get the personal chests. I guess if you don't want to give the personal chests, that seems fine. But why isn't there a less than 35 million chest that maybe gives you, I mean, heck, maybe it gives you a single 4-star and a little bit of clan gold and maybe a little bit of these primal things. So, really, nothing super exciting, but give people the chance to participate in this and get some of the rewards for this. And this is kind of why this opens too early. Because didn't this open at like level
Yeah.
45?
Yeah, 45 is when it
Yeah.
opened. We weren't I mean, a lot of us, the first rotation that we were available to do it, nobody completed it.
Yeah.
Um and then you throw in the clash part of it, and like we're not like we are second place in the clash right now.
Hmm.
And none of us are going to reap the benefits. So why even have it be a thing? It
Yeah.
just is a little I yeah, I would really like them to see them make this a little bit more early game friendly. I feel like I don't know what video I saw it on, but I feel like one of the content creators talked about um the intent behind Hydra was meant to be still the hardest of the clan bosses. Chimera is meant to be actually the in between, even though it came out last.
Hmm.
In order of difficulty, Demon Lord, Chimera, and then Hydra. Um, but then that just brings us back to the point of, if Chimera then is supposed to be the middle difficulty, why are the requirements in the hundreds of millions for the Chimera Clash to get
Well,
rewards?
this one doesn't bother me quite as much. As you can see here, I've done 180 million so far for it, and I've run a few keys. I hit 35 million on normal on my
Okay.
Chimera key. Now, to be fair, that is a combination of Geo being Geo and the fact that I
Yeah.
managed to get an Ugo revive halfway through the run that I would have died on otherwise. So I managed to extend the run. But I can one key normal already with my account at day 40 ish. Now, again, that get Geo doing tons of work on that, but if I can do this in day 40, or a normal person would they say 60, because a normal person is probably not pushing as hard as I am on this stuff.
Yeah.
Um, it's not as bad as it could be. In fact, we killed this as a clan. We actually killed normal as a clan.
Mm-hmm.
So I could actually try a key on hard if I wanted to. I don't. But I could try a key on hard. I mean, honestly, I may try a key on hard just to kind of see what I can
Well,
do
the
on hard.
multipliers too.
Because the worst thing that happens is I take it back. which is, that's one of the nice things about Hydra, at least. At least with Hydra, I can sit here, I can go in, I can put a team together, I can run it, it can get annihilated, and I can say, okay, I don't want to use this key, let's try again. And that is absolutely huge. That's actually one of the things I really wish they would do for regular clan boss, and I don't know why they haven't at this point in time. Why can't we turn down a key in regular clan boss anymore? It just feels like, we already know, and if you don't know, if you're in a clan boss and you know your key is going to be bad, pause the game and exit the app or close the app on your PC or close it on your phone, force close the app, and that will give you the key back because it doesn't use the key until it finishes and gives you the total and says you've used the key. So if you're testing out, you know, clan boss runs, and we do this as content creators all the time where we're testing clan
Mm-hmm.
boss keys out for other people. So that's part of why we know, but it's a very good way to save your keys, especially if you have marginal problems with your team, like something can occasionally happen that can be a problem, or maybe you've got a big setup on your unkillable team and you mess the setup up. Well, you don't have to say, okay, this run is screwed because I messed the setup up. Let's actually just, you know, exit out and try over again.
Mm-hmm.
So very, very clutch for this. But the fact that we have to go that far when they have the technology to let us regroup and try again, because they do it in every other clan boss, why we can't do it in the normal Demon Lord, I have no idea.
Yeah, and when everyone's using that trick, it's just like at that point, why make it a trick? Just give them the ability
Exactly.
to save or reuse the key.
And it's funny because they'll
Um,
tell you that trick too. I think they're the ones that actually, when people started doing it, they said, oh, yeah, that's perfectly fine.
yeah, exactly. So, who knows? They it's so hard to figure out what they're thinking sometimes. Like we were just talking about it in the clan chat the other day about the why does Chimera finish and then you get rewards 24 hours later. Like,
Yeah, that one supposedly was a server load issue where they didn't want to have the load from Chimera resetting because apparently it is a load. That's part of why we
mm-hmm,
already have a 3 hour window for Siege when Siege ends, and then there's like 3 or 4
yeah,
hours before you get the rewards there. And I think with Chimera, they decided 24 hours was good because Siege is calculating on Thursday, and that takes a while because Siege actually has a lot more to actually calculate. So if Chimera was doing it at the exact same time, it seems kind of
mm,
weird. But yeah, it does feel kind of odd to have the Chimera have a day that's basically dead on Thursday. And it's very unfortunate too because it resets on Friday, because Hydra resets on Wednesday, and then CVC resets on Thursday or Siege resets on Thursday. People that do need to move clans for whatever reason, be it you're in
mm-hmm,
a cluster where people want to move clans, or be it you've got a free to play where you're like, I need to get past this Nightmare Demon Lord and get to Ultra Nightmare, and my clan is just not doing it for me anymore. Well, now you have to stay in because you don't want to lose your Hydra keys. Then you need to stay in because you don't want to lose your Chimera keys. And then, oops, I had to run a Hydra key because I got the mission on Thursday to run a Hydra key, or Wednesday night I got the mission. So you might literally get stuck for almost a full week because the resets don't line up right, or you just got to give up on one of the keys. So
yeah,
kind of unfortunate. Definitely feedback for Polarium. So, any
absolutely.
other final tips or ideas of things you're looking forward to in Hydra? Or actually, here's a question: do you think we'll get to a point where people will be doing hard and getting a chest or two on hard? Do you think we'll get to
Definitely.
that? You do?
Yes, I think it's very possible. I think the key is going to be speeds, making sure that you're going fast. I think you're going to see champions that um I mean, in our last collab, I called them out and said that I'm not a fan, but I could see Husk bringing some value for some teams if people pull him. I think Geomancer teams are going to be big. I really like one of the strategies I loved using in early Hydra was Geomancer placing his burn, bringing a big shield champion of some kind. For me, it was UDK early on. Because that was back on my main account. I got him as a login legendary. You throw that big shield on, and then you deliberately pop the head that explodes for all that damage. and all of that just goes to, I mean, not all of it, but most of that goes to that head that you have the burn from Geo on.
Mhm.
So that's always been a strategy that I've liked to use. I do think we're going to see some people get into hard. I don't think we see anybody get anywhere beyond that. But keep him. I mean, you know, Dante has 2 freaking Harimas, so there's your provokers right there. You just alternate them, and you should be, be able to lock down one of the heads. And obviously, she brings a ton of damage. So, and don't forget, at any point in time, which it hasn't happened yet, at least not for us, like the content creators that I've seen, at any point in time, one of those primal shards can be a mythical, and that could change the face of this competition entirely, in my opinion.
Yeah, that is a thing. I think it's definitely, I've recently pulled my shards, so I don't have any at the moment. Primal shards feel like the yeetable shards of the moment.
Yes.
They are definitely, I think my strategy for them is I'm going to save them for summon rush events for the most part, if I can, unless there's some sort of elevated chance. Mostly because sacreds are still kind of hard to get. So maybe if I can get a few primal shards, and again, I'm doing some live arena, so I get a chance to get primal shards from the live arena stuff here and there. Been able to do a couple things in Centranos. Obviously, it would be nice. Chimera gives you some. I think Chimera gives you a few things. I don't remember if Chimera gives you any of that stuff or not. But there's
Primals? No.
no, but there's been different events where you've been able to get some of the partial primals or actual primals from some of these as well too. So you can certainly look for some of these rewards. But yeah, primals definitely there is a chance. In fact, I don't expect there to be, I wouldn't be surprised if at least one content creator ended up with a mythical, but I don't expect it to happen. I do expect in the general public there to be a mythical or two to show up, just because when
Oh,
you've got
absolutely.
3 or 4,000 accounts that are running this stuff at the moment, I think it's 4,000 right now. Somebody's going to get lucky. The odds are with somebody at that point in
Yeah.
time. And that could be very interesting. It also could be very not interesting. They could pull Gallius, which I guess would be an absolute winner on an early game account, but he's not a particularly great champion. You could end up with a champion that's not good in Hydra, for example, or you could end up with a banger in Hydra. You could end up with, some of these burn champions that are going to be absolutely amazing in Hydra, or all kinds of stuff. But I think it's certainly going to be interesting. Hydra is definitely going to be one of the biggest problems for a lot of people, and I think Hydra is also going to be one of the biggest sources of ways to catch up for people that can actually build the right Hydra teams. But ultimately, it comes down to luck. What are you pulling from shards? What's your gear look like? What kind of souls are you getting? Because the souls are super powerful for Hydra as well. And yeah, I mean, that's really kind of the name of the game, is do the best with what you get and hope you get lucky at the same time.
No, I agree.
So, all right. Any other final thoughts before we wrap this up?
No, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on. It's always fun. I always look forward to being able to chat and talk about Raid with you. Thank you for just honestly being a motivator for me and inspiration for me. Like anytime that you've done something on the leaderboards, I look at it and I say, well, all right, Bront did it. I gotta give this a shot.
So yeah, it's been fun. I didn't expect to get this high on the leaderboard. In some ways, I'm still kind of curious what I did, other than I've just kind of done all the little things as well as possible and gotten good enough luck to be able to put myself in this position. But as I've said before too, this is supposed to be fun. So I'm having fun. It sounds like you're having a lot of fun.
I am.
If I end up, coming in 20th place, it'll have been a blast. It'll have been a fun ride. I won't regret anything. If I come in first, it'll have been a blast. It'll have been a great ride. I won't regret anything either. And that's really, I think, where you guys that are building accounts that aren't going to be doing some of the hard pushing that we're doing, hopefully some of the tips we're giving you are still useful, even if you're not pushing your account as hard as we've been doing. Don't hold yourself to the standard of where I'm at. Don't hold yourself to getting to almost level 60 before we're 2 months in. Don't hold yourself to getting Hydra done this early. We are pushing these accounts to the limit for your entertainment and for our own entertainment. So, just have some fun, keep that in mind, and enjoy the game, because Raid is supposed to be fun. So with that, he's Roadblock. I'll have links to the other video we're going to drop. I think that, I don't have to tell them when it's going to drop because it will drop when it drops. And so that will be dropping our channels, whenever it gets filmed and whenever it gets edited. So that'll be a lot of fun. I will have a link for his stuff over there. He will probably have a link to my stuff there. Smash his like and subscribe button. Smash my like and subscribe button. I really appreciate it. You guys are absolutely awesome.
Can I shout out something real quick? Yes.
Sure.
Is it okay if I mention I have something special coming up? I mentioned it on my channel. You
Oh,
mind
that's
if I
right.
mention
Yes,
it
he is
over
going to
here?
do his birthday stream. And the most important thing, we are not going to answer this question, but whether or not he's going to do it in his birthday suit. You'll have to tune in on the 22nd to find out. So probably not because, YouTube doesn't frown upon that. But you know what? You
Yeah.
might be able to convince him where the rice is right. So anyway, take care, guys. Have a lot of fun. And until the next video, he is Roadblock, and I am Bront CatHerder.